The Texans have to not make mistakes on special teams. When I played for teams, we knew we were outmatched offensively. We took chances on special teams. Jim, look for that.
Well, Jay, that was a big story here in the Thursday night game, September the 22nd. It's 28 degrees, partly cloudy, frigid night, but it's not all that raw. And the Patriots have deferred, so football coming to the Texans. And if you're a Texans fan, this, I would think, might be a big area of concern right here, Phil, because in that game 4 months ago, the Texans coughed up the football on 2 kick returns, setting up a 14-yard touchdown drive and a 27-yard touchdown drive. 2 of the 3 touchdowns by the Patriots were gimmies thanks to fumbles on kick returns. It's Gutskowski getting it started. And it's going to be a touchback as Hunt will not bring it out. So here comes Osweiler. 14-8 overall as a starter, going back with his Denver days factored in. 9-6 this season. And last week, 168 yards, threw for 1, ran for 1. Again, no turnovers, as Phil mentioned. They did not have Dwayne Brown in the game here in September. He was injured. DeAndre Hopkins was pretty much held in check that night, as in that game he was matched up against Logan Ryan, who did a good job on him. They're going to come right out on a shotgun and bring Miller wide to the right and empty out that backfield, as well as a couple of tight ends, both Griffin and Fedorowicz. So Osweiler, to open the game, is able to get the ball in the hands of Hopkins, and he is wrestled down by Hightower after a pickup of 4. Now, while the Texans lead in total defense, this bunch of Matt Patricia, Trey Flowers, second-year player, making a lot of plays, they gave up the fewest points in the league this year. Hightower, a Pro Bowler, in on that tackle. And again, Ryan, we'll see him a lot tonight. McCourty, a Pro Bowler as well. No huddle here, start for Houston.
Yep, trying to get off to a good start. That was a big key for this offense and his team.
Miller saw nothing there, and he just dives low for maybe a yard or 2.
Look, going against the best scoring defense in the NFL, when you talk about the Patriots, they're so diverse on the defensive side. They play a lot of guys, a lot of different coverages. You never know who's blitzing. So Bill O'Brien says that, man, we got to get off to a good start. That no huddle, the quick, easy throw from Brock Osweiler. The big thing, Jay Feely said it. Bill O'Brien said, for us to win, we cannot turn the football over.
3 straight seasons for O'Brien at 9-7. First staff to have 3 straight winning seasons. Second straight year in the playoffs. And 3rd and 4, Osweiler looking for an option, and he is dropped by Ninkovich.
Well, Bill O'Brien also told us 3 and out is okay. Ninkovich coming to the outside. It just takes too long. Nobody's open. Nobody is open, and that's why Ninkovich gets the sack.
Shane Leckler. It's a punt to Julian Edelman. Houston opens with a 3 and out. Edelman have a chance to do something with this one from the 24. And wiggles outside as he shakes off a hit. And then is brought down after a 15-yard run back. Moore with the tackle. Brady coming out. How about this? 32nd career postseason game. That is 2 regular seasons worth of postseason action. Pretty remarkable. The 22 postseason wins, that's more than 22 current franchises in the league have all time. Solder, the left side, with that matchup that Phil diagrammed in the pregame show, going against a lot of Clowney and company. Dion Lewis is the running back to start this game, and not Blunt, who had the big game against Houston earlier. Pass to Edelman, and he's got a catch for about 5. Houston defensive Romeo Crennel, another Bill Belichick disciple, as well as Vince Wilfork, who has been showing a lot of signs and indicating he might be retiring after this postseason. Clowney has been sensational. So too has Boye, who came into the league undrafted out of Central Florida. It's a 2nd and 5 for the Patriots. And they're going to go with Lewis. And the back, who was injured until early November, and has been getting more and more action. Picks up 4. Got 3rd and 1 coming up here for Brady and company.
Yep, going with the quick cuddle. Don't let the defense get set. They love doing this. They have great success when they go quick.
They go to the ground, stacked up and stopped. In fact, the ball is down, and they're saying it was a whistle first. He ran into Clowney, who took him down for a loss of 1.
Vince Wilfork on the center that time did an excellent job.
Was he down?
Let's find out.
Look at Clowney on his back.
Yep, the elbow went down. Contact took him to the ground, of course, so that will not be a fumble, but that's a good sign for the Houston Texans. That little, always when it's 3rd and 1, the New England Patriots love that. No huddle, go to the line, run the play. They lined up properly, ready for it. Vince Wilfork, the expatriate, made the play.
And what did Bill O'Brien say last night? We could not afford, he told us, to go out there and give up an early touchdown. Trying to play it close to the Patriots. Keep them under control early. Don't let it get away from them quickly like it did the last time as Ryan Allen punts it down to about the 19 where Tyler Ervin makes the fair catch after a 34-yard punt. So 3 and out for each side. We're underway. Divisional playoff time at Gillette Stadium.
Well, Jim, let's go back to that first drive the Patriots had. I said 3 and out is okay. Bill O'Brien, he says we're going to have those situations. The big thing is just to make sure we protect the football. The strength of the team, we know, is their defense. Don't give this Patriots football team any easy points by turning it over.
Here's a first down give to Miller, and Alan Branch is waiting for him.
So Bill O'Brien says 3 and out we can live with. Now when New England has a 3 and out, he says it's like a funeral over there because they expect to move the ball every time they get it. But I think benching Brock Osweiler has really brought this team, and now they really have a clear vision of how they want to play the game. Conservative on offense, be extremely careful with the football.
It's a 2nd and 8. Osweiler didn't have to sit on that bench too long because Savage, once he was given a chance, ended up getting injured. Suffered a concussion in the game at Tennessee, week 16. 2nd and 8. That pass wide of the mark for Fuller, who was standing there alone.
Well, hey, listen, I don't know whose fault that is. Looks like it's Brock Osweiler's. Fuller was coming on the inside, coming on an in cut, and he misses him. And that's what you cannot do. You cannot miss wide open receivers. When you get an opportunity, hard to get against this defense, you can't miss them.
And back to your point about Osweiler, again, he wasn't out for long, but he said sometimes you forget, and it did remind him standing on the sideline just to go have fun. And the next time he said, I was going to get out there, I said, I'm going to trust my instincts and I'm going to cut it loose, which he might be doing here on 3rd and 8 as he rolls out on the run, and it's knocked down. That was done by Logan Ryan, denying the pass into Mumphrey.
Yep, Logan Ryan on Mumphrey, number 26 on the inside, breaks out. Nice job by Osweiler. That's what I'd love to see him do tonight. He's done it in the 7 quarters he's played since he came back in. When it's not there, move around, try to create an opportunity.
Great play there by Ryan, and it's Leckler toward the sideline. Edelman with the catch at the 35 as he slides out of bounds. 43-yard boot, still looking for a first down of this game.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Pizza Hut. No one out-pizzas the Hut. And by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM.
The Atlanta Falcons advanced to the NFC Conference Championship game earlier. That game opened the first 3 drives with 3 touchdowns. We opened with 3 drives and 3 3-and-outs. As Brady has time to go long for Hogan. There was contact in it. Brings out the flag. It's going to be on Boye.
Stuck his left arm out in front of Chris Hogan deep down the field. He was in great position, did not need to use that arm.
Pete Morelli.
Pass interference. Number 21. Defense, automatic first down.
Well, A.J. Boye has had a terrific year. He is the best cover guy on this Houston Texans defense. Down the sideline, watch the last second. You see the arm goes in front. That's what they see. That's why they threw the flag.
Well, Boye wasn't believing it. It's a 30-yard penalty. Blunt comes into the game now. The big back is so powerful. It's going to be Brady throwing time again. The sideline, and hanging out there is Hogan. He's got the catch.
All about the pass protection that time. That took a long time for somebody to get open. Chris Hogan definitely has his knees down, gets his arms underneath. Nice catch.
So Brady goes to Hogan on 2 straight plays. One draws a 30-yard pass interference penalty.
Well, Hogan, one of the free agent signings during the offseason, and they talked about him. He's lived up to everything they thought he would be. Can play anywhere on the field, any position, very smart.
Last play went for 22 out of the backfield. They get it over to Lewis. Look at this speed. Dion Lewis to the end zone for the touchdown.
That's a matchup that you have to look for here tonight. Running backs from New England against linebackers of the Houston Texans. And they got Dion Lewis against Benardrick McKinney. And more we're seeing Dion Lewis in the game as a running back. So quick, so fast. Well, you got Dion Lewis. You know, you have James White, 2 guys that can both come out of the backfield. And if there is a weakness in the Houston defense, one of the weaknesses is the big linebackers. Can they cover man-to-man against the running backs?
Well, Martellus Bennett, he gets up pretty nimble looking the way he got up, and he was whacked on the side hit by Cushing. Bennett, who's been such a valuable offseason pickup in the trade with Chicago, especially with Gronkowski on IR for the 3rd time in the last 5 postseasons.
How fast did Lewis look once he caught that football too?
Goodness.
Boy, is he back from that, slowly coming back from surgery, getting better every time we see him.
Well, it's actually just 2 plays, because 1 play was the pass interference call. 2 plays, 65 yards. The final 13 handled by Dion Lewis. Lewis blew out a knee last year, week 9, and alas, he was not a part of the postseason. He becomes the 25th different receiver of a Brady postseason touchdown pass. And Houston up here at Gillette Stadium, 0-4 all time. And in the games that Brady's played in, 3 of those 4, they always went over 40 points all 3 times. And they have just gotten the early edge big on Houston. Now 55-3 in first quarter games all time when the Texans have come to Gillette. They've never produced a touchdown to Texans. They've got a run back here by Hunt to about the 24.
Well, let's just look at what happens. It's really not man-to-man defense. Here comes Lewis out. Here's McKinney. He's just going to try to see if he can get out there fast enough to make that tackle in space. And Tom Brady right away notices it and realizes what he has. Devlin leading the way, and Dion Lewis. Wow, is he quick? Watching him in practice on Thursday, we saw that pass thrown to him. He could just catch it and outrun most linebackers in the NFL.
That is Hunt coming into the backfield as the Texans have it for the 3rd time. Not generating a first down the first 2 drives. Hunt with a flag out. Tackled by Hightower after about 4.
Pass interference, offense, number 10. 10-yard penalty remains, first down.
Called on Hopkins.
You cannot block downfield before the football is caught. There it is. He's blocking right away. It's an outside, really a screen. That time, so that's a good call.
So 1st and 20 as they're backed up to the 13. They managed 5 yards so far on 6 plays. That's a completion and a quick stick on Fuller. That was Butler who knocked him down after a 6-yard pickup.
Look, a lot of problems when you think about this game and the matchups for the Houston Texans offense. You know, one, can they run the football? That's what they really want to do. They're 8th in the NFL running the football, but this defensive front of the Patriots, they always crowd the line of scrimmage, and they have tremendous run stoppers inside that makes it tough. And the other thing is, when it's man-to-man coverage like this, can they get away from the Patriots defensive backs?
2nd and 13. Osweiler, pressure from behind, and he's sacked for a 2nd time in this quarter. It is Logan Ryan.
Well, 2 sacks, exactly the same coverage as both times, and it's a blitz from the outside. He's coming over here from the left, Logan Ryan. It's a zone defense, nowhere to throw it quick enough, and that's just part of what we talk about. All the players, so many roles on the defensive side for the Patriots. It is complex, and Bill Belichick has changed his team over to where they are fast also.
Ryan, who had that pass defense on a 3rd down throw the previous possession, now comes up with the sack, 3rd and 18. Underneath, Hopkins never going to get where he needs to go for the first. And that does, draw a flag.
You know, the Houston offense is not good enough to overcome sacks, big 10-yard penalties, negative plays.
This flag comes on the heels of a 10-yard completion to Hopkins. And then a scrum. About 10 players involved.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, pulling a player off the pile, number 25 defense. It's a 15-yard penalty and automatic first down.
That's the first break of the game for the Texans. And it'll give them a first down. They get out of a 3rd and 18 situation with this play and the penalty.
Well, 25, Eric Rowe. 25. Yep, there he is. He's pulling out. Can't tell who it is, but that's where the flag was thrown. And that was a big break the Houston Texans needed to kind of change momentum and settle the crowd down and maybe settle their defense down. And
well, Bill Belichick has a few words, choice words for Eric Rowe.
They're rolling. You know, he says, hey, wow, we've scored. We got the crowd going. Got them backed up. Big penalty against the Patriots, to say the least.
And now Houston able to operate from the 40 with a new set of downs. We'll go to Miller. Tries to get outside, and he slips through one hit. He's got about 6. And again, is Ryan on the tackle along with McCourty. Hey, do you have what it takes to be crowned a Madden 17 Club Series champion? Represent one of 8 NFL teams, including the Patriots, by registering at NFL.com/Madden-NFL.
Well, that was a really good run that time from under center. Good job by Lamar Miller, seeing it was packed inside and broke it out.
Texans have moved Ode Abushi to right guard in place of Jeff Allen. 2nd and 5, faking left, going right, got a first down. And into New England territory, the connection with Miller.
Really good job that time by Brock Osweiler. Looks a little bit left. Watch him look left, and it turns to his right and throws it. Something he did not do in the first game. I went back and looked at it. A lot of short throws were open underneath, and he was trying to force the football down the field. I think he's learned through time, and those 4-yard completions are great.
In that last meeting, Houston didn't enter New England territory until the 3rd quarter, as they now get a nice burst ahead for Miller. In fact, they ran only 7 total snaps on the night on the New England side of the field and never got inside the 35, but they're putting a little something together here now as they pick up 7 with that play.
Very good block by Su'a-Filo, the left guard. Yeah, you brought up some of these stats to Bill O'Brien last night. He was really happy to hear this.
He actually thought he never ran a snap in the
I know, he said we never crossed it.
I had to tell him it was 7 actually, and Miller people on him right away, including Alan Branch, who's made a couple of nice tackles already.
Well, that's what I talk about. You know, so many people think this New England defense, they just don't realize how good they are, leading the league in points given up. Yes, their offense helps him, but Alan Branch, Vince Valentine, Malcolm Brown are the three big run stoppers inside.
3rd and 3. The Texans bring in Jonathan Grimes. Osweiler has the first down to Grimes, who is then thrown to the ground by Rowe, the one who kept this drive going with the personal foul penalty on 3rd down earlier.
Well, it was a good job. 2-on-2 to the right side. Brock Osweiler picked the right way to go and put the ball on the money with some speed, because they close fast and are good tacklers on the defensive side.
First down. New England 36. He's got Fedorowicz near another first. Going to mark him about a half-yard short. Sunday, next Sunday that is, 18 people will go on the run from a team of expert hunters. CBS presents a real-life thriller. Hunted premieres next Sunday after the AFC Championship game, only CBS.
I think since Brock Osweiler has come back in the lineup, the one thing he has learned is to use the tight end more. C.J. Fedorowicz, he's gone to him a lot.
Ryan Griffin, he likes to work him too.
Yeah. Why not? Easy throws to the tight end.
2nd and short. Grimes got the first. Plows ahead to the 20. Running behind Ciafilo.
Ciafilo, boy, he's had a couple good blocks in this game. That time pulled around, made that block, and kind of settle things down. This offense, this is what they want, of course, to shorten the football game and getting some confidence moving the football here, which we never saw in their game at all in week 3.
Four first downs picked up on this drive. And now from the 21, Osweiler going to the end zone, and is off the hands of Fedorowicz. Chung on the coverage.
You kind of tell what they're going to do here tonight. Fedorowicz on the outside against Patrick Chung. Very good cover guy against tight ends.
Left a little early here, didn't he? He just kind of mistimed it here.
Yep, he did. Mistimed the jump or the move. But the tight end running back to one side, 3 receivers to the other. Seems like a good matchup for this Houston offense.
So they had a good shot there, and the pass was perfect. Just mistimed, and now the 12th play of this series, a 2nd and 10 to Miller. Going to try to bounce it outside. Slips through the tackle. He's got it down to about the 17. And let's take a look now from our nationwide Skycam. As you see Miller, who missed the last 2 weeks of the regular season with an ankle injury, but then was called on for 31 carries in the game against the Raiders last week.
Yeah, we talked to him last night. I said, any residual effects from that 31 carries? Oh no, playoff time, he's ready to go.
3rd and 6. Hakeem Hunt comes in for Miller. They go over to Hunt. Trying to shake off McCourty, but there are others waiting for him, including Van Noy. Now that'll bring out Novak for a field goal try.
This New England defense faster now than in years past, and it got faster as the year went along. And once you stop and try to make a move against McCourty, look at all the people that came and the defenders that get there to make the tackle.
So Novak has made 37 straight inside 40. 2 for 2 last week against Oakland, including a 50-yarder. This from 33. Leckler on the hold. And the Texans are on the board. Didn't seem likely at one time. 3rd and 18. And the penalty on Rowe right here kept the Texans offense on the field. Leads to a 33-yard boot by Novak. 7-3, Patriots first quarter.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Pepsi. Break out the Pepsi. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
You know, some just learning to skate a little bit, taking their time. It's 7-3 here. New England in the first quarter after a 14-play drive by the Texans. 6 different rushers and receivers handling the football on that series for Houston.
What it takes, 12-play drives to usually score against this defense, even a field goal.
It's Dion Lewis. From the 2 and taken off. He's taken off. Peters trying to chase him. That is not a fair match. Lewis is going to break it. 98 yards. Larry Izzo, the special teams coach and a former Patriot linebacker. Can't believe it.
Well, he can't believe it because it was such a focus coming into the game. It's a beautiful high kick to one side of the field. And then Dion Lewis, boy, that's the tackle. Once he breaks it, there's no way he's going to be caught. And Brian Peters, the linebacker, could not stay with him. This time they give it the return. Last time it was them fumbling the kickoff returns.
"98 yards. Lewis scoring both touchdowns.
What a weapon, Dion Lewis.
Gostkowski, extra point is true. With a minute to go in the first quarter. Dion Lewis showing all kinds of explosiveness tonight. 13-yard touchdown catch and a 98-yard sprint to the end zone. That was the longest playoff kick return in Patriot postseason history and the first kick return, regular or post, for a touchdown since 2012, October of 2012, when McCourty had one in a run back in a game against the Jets.
Well, you wouldn't be surprised who made some good blocks in that kickoff return. Matthew Slater, James Devlin, the fullback. I think the other was Gino Grissom, the defensive lineman.
Now this one only to the 10. Hunt would have loved to have tried to match it, but no chance. There are 4 Patriots waiting for him, including Patrick Chung.
Well, Tom Brady pretty excited. Joe Judge, special teams coach. Raven Trone, the assistant special teams coach. He's pretty excited. And the opposite, Larry Izzo, special teams coach for the Texans.
Clowney.
Yeah, it's got to be upsetting. Of course it's upsetting to the players. They know how perfect they got to be here tonight and give up a special teams touchdown. Tough to overcome.
Alfred Blue seeing his first action. They don't go to him. Instead, the pass. Dangerous one to Fuller. It's only good for 2. Tracy.
We just saw Jadeveon Clowney after that special teams touchdown. He was walking up and down the sideline so frustrated. He threw his helmet. He had to be held back at one point, just really upset with that touchdown there. But still, the teammates telling him there is a lot more left to be played in this game, Joe.
I'm trying to exercise some leadership ability on that sideline. Clowney, who has really emerged this year after 2 injury-plagued years. Former first overall selection. 2nd and 8. There's a completion to Mumphrey, and he's stopped a yard short. That was Ryan making sure he kept him short of the chains. And we're going to run out of time here in the first quarter. Yeah, the kick return game, such a big part back in September when the Texans coughed it up twice, leading to touchdowns. And on this occasion, the Patriots run one back. After one, 14-3. The AFC playoffs are now on CBS All Access. Go to cbs.com/NFL now to try it free. We start the second quarter at Gillette. Jim Nance, Phil Simms, Tracy Wolfson, Jay Feely. Quick snap to Osweiler, rolling out away from Branch, and he's only able to dump it off for a 1-yard loss to Miller.
Well, how about that 3rd and short? They go with the play action pass, thinking Lamar Miller's going to be wide open in the flat for the easy throw, but Patriots, Logan Ryan, not full, think and run. Stays where he's supposed to. Look at the top of the screen, number 26. Stays right there, and Miller just comes right to him.
Leckler, his 3rd punt. Edelman lets it go, bounces at the 7, and then on in for the touchback. Net of 43. Brian Cushing of the Texans is the team's nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award, presented by Nationwide. This prestigious honor recognizes players who have made big contributions in the game and in their communities. In 2015, Brian established the Brian Cushing Foundation to serve and honor the men and women who protect our country by providing them resources and experiences. 3 finalists will be announced during the NFC title game next Sunday, with the winner being announced at the NFL Honors Award Show February 4th on Fox. From the 20, Brady intercepted for only the 3rd time this year. It's Boye who gets it off the deflection, and the Texans suddenly get something to go their way, with Brady having thrown only 2 picks the entire year.
Michael Floyd, the football just out in front of him, a little too much. He knocks it up in the air, and we even talked about this with Tom Brady. You got to be lucky sometimes to go a year and throw 2 interceptions. This time he was not. The tip football, Boye there to make the catch.
Boye is in the final year of a contract, and he has emerged as one of the highest rated corners in the game. That's Michael Floyd. Pass a little out of reach, but maybe not enough so to see it bounce off his hands and not be caught, but lead to an interception. Boye sets up the Texans at the 27. Osweiler fires it to the 20, and it is caught by Fuller for a gain of 7.
Well, good read by that time by Osweiler, throwing it to Fuller because they double-teamed DeAndre Hopkins. That's what you got to be ready for. The Patriots famous for trying to take away your best weapon. And when they throw the football, that's DeAndre Hopkins. That time they double-teamed him. Good job by Osweiler going outside.
So far in this game, the Patriots have run 6 plays, and they lead at 14-3. Hand off up the middle for Miller and a 1st down.
I asked, the Patriots coaching staff, I said, why don't you move guys around more? The Houston staff, on offense, move them around, trying to confuse the Patriots defense. And he goes, nope. By moving around, what you do, you just will confuse yourself, because they do so much with all the guys that can play 2 positions and move. So you don't see much motion or movement by this Houston Texans offense.
And there's Dion Lewis, the reason they lead 14-3, the first player in NFL postseason history to have a touchdown catch and a kick return for a touchdown in the postseason in the same quarter. As Osweiler goes to the end zone, and it is a fight for the football. And it was almost picked by McCourty, but Fedorowicz was able to take it out of his hands.
He was on him the whole way, boy. He stayed in perfect position.
Number 74, offense. 10-yard penalty. Still 1st down.
Well,
Chris Clark flagged for this one. Looked like for a while McCourty might come up.
He was there. He was in better position than Fedorowicz. Don't forget, he was a corner, and he is a tremendous free safety now in the NFL. Can really cover sideline to sideline, and he can match up and cover any tight end in this league. What a nice luxury to have, a safety who can cover like a corner and still be one of the best free safeties in the NFL.
It's a 1st and 20 off the holding call. Miller on the toss. And coming up is Van Noy to hold him to 4.
Yep, that's it. Kyle Van Noy inside. They got him this year from Detroit. And just a little bit of the change that, Jim, we talked to Bill Belichick about how they just changed the style of this defense. A couple big guys up front. Chris Long, they brought him in. Very versatile, fast. Roberts, Van Noy, McClellan, all good speed at the linebacker position.
2nd and 16. from the gun. Osweiler again going to the end zone and over the head of Fuller. Butler right there with him.
Well, Malcolm Butler wasn't voted to the Pro Bowl, but he could have been. They put a lot of pressure on him. A little double move that time by Fuller, and Malcolm Butler not fooled at all.
You believe this is one of the best defenses you've seen at New England?
It is. It's just because of all they can do against the modern day offenses, and you can see that little double move on the outside. Not enough deception to fool Butler.
3rd and 16. Clear it out with Hunt. They're going to go to him. He's able to get past a wave and zigs and zags down to about the 8, 2 yards shy of a first. Good piece of running by Akeem Hunt, but not enough.
But he took it. You put that's a play that comes out of the Patriot playbook. You get in these situations, 3rd and long, throw a screen and see if you can make it happen. And Bill O'Brien, no doubt, you kick the field goal in this situation.
It's only going to be about a 26-yard field goal attempt by Novak.
Well, you got to say this, Jim. The Texans offense a little more assertive, sharper, definitely making more plays. Looks like Jabal Sheard limping off the field.
Jabal Sheard is slowly walking to the sideline, and McCourty got dinged as well on that previous play. But McCourty is still out there as the Texans are lining up what's going to be a 27-yard attempt by Novak, who made a Texans team record 35 field goals in the regular season. Already good from 33, and this time nails it from 27. All set up by the A.J. Boye interception. Little factoid from our man Ethan Cooperson, who keeps our stats. Since the Lewis touchdown from 13 yards out, the first one, the touchdown catch, Houston's run 21 plays to 1 by New England, but the Patriots have scored 7-6 advantage in that stretch because of the 98-yard kick return by Lewis, who awaits this kick and is going to get a chance to run it again, this time from the 3. Ball is on the ground. And people really signaled right away. No, he changed. He first signaled the other way. It's a Houston recovery.
We can hear the hit. I'm sure you could on TV too.
Recovery by Eddie Pleasant. It looked like it was Tyler Irvin. Yep, Tyler Irvin who hit him. And look at punching the ball out was Akeem Dent. And Eddie Pleasant does have the recovery.
Well, Bill O'Brien just said we got to find a way to get some turnovers, hopefully get a bounce go our way. They got a bounce go their way. That time they just took it. That was such a hard hit and such a great job of punching it out. O'Brien excited. He knows that's the breaks they need to win this game.
Now, what can they do with it this time? From the 12. Run it. Miller meets Branch again for 2. You don't go into a game really expecting you're going to see the Patriots turn the football over twice, but they have done that now in the first 18.5 minutes of this game.
But when you watch them and all the games that I've watched of the Patriots, you go, wow, they don't even get close to turning the football over. You never see the ball on the ground. Tom Brady, when the ball does get tipped by a lineman, it usually falls in between the defenders. Not here tonight.
2nd and 8. Taking the reverse, throwing to the end zone, wide open. It's a Houston touchdown for Dorowitz.
It was a really good fake. They faked the reverse, and that's what it is. Always about scoring, especially I think inside the 20. It's about deception. Here's Fedorowicz. They faked the reverse, and just watch the defense react to it. Here it comes. That's beautiful. You got tight end coming across Griffin, and now nobody sees Fedorowicz going in the back of the end zone uncovered.
He got away from Deron Harmon as everybody went for the reverse.
Shoot, I went for the reverse. I was watching the lead blocker go there. Nice fake.
So that is the first touchdown in the Belichick versus O'Brien matchup in a little more than 9 quarters. Going back to a game in December a season ago, September this year, they had never put up a touchdown. Got one now. Lewis ran one back and then gave one back. Osweiler pays it off, finding his tight end for the touchdown.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Chili's 3-course meal deal. Chillin' since '75. H&R Block. Get your taxes won. And by Ford F-Series, the best-selling trucks for 40 straight years.
10 unanswered points by the Texans. And again, that play count, it's just bizarre. 29 plays to 6 plays run by the Patriots. Lewis back out there again on the goal line. Cuts it outside and Chase out of bounds. Second quarter, we've seen Tom Brady take only 6 snaps so far in this game.
Yeah, got to get him in rhythm. There's no question. You know, that's what they want to do. But Bill O'Brien's big point to us, all he kept talking about, of course, about the turnovers. Can we possess the ball long enough to shorten the game, to give our defense, to keep them rested, so when the opportunity's there, they can make the play. So far, Tom Brady has not been under pressure. It's not that he's thrown a lot of passes, only 4.
Run it. First handle of the game for LeGarrette Blount.
LeGarrette Blount. Well, you want to get pressure on Tom Brady. Next gen stats. Whitney Merciless, 5th in the NFL. The time it takes him to get to the quarterback and get the sack. That's pretty dang good. And then how about this? Jadeveon Clowney, 3rd in the NFL, gets there in 3.62 seconds. So they have 2 outstanding outside rushers. Can they get the Patriots in 3rd and long? Make Brady hold the football. That's what they're hoping for.
Second and 8. And the completion goes to Bennett. And it's only good for about 3. It's 3rd and 5 coming up. Kareem Jackson on the tackle.
Well, just look what they do. Here goes Jadeveon Clowney, and then here comes Cushing, and they get a free runner and a hit on Tom Brady. Hard to do. Pass protection's always excellent. He gets rid of the football quick.
And that completion, 42 minutes of actual real time since Brady's previous completion in this game, the 13-yard touchdown toss to Lewis.
A good example of how they move Clowney around.
3rd and 5. Chase after him, Merciless. And now Brady is doubled up. Cushing is there. Merciless gets to him as well.
And that time they put Merciless on the center. That's something they like to do right here in the middle. And why is that such a good thing? Because he's so quick and powerful, hard for a center to take him one-on-one. And that time David Andrews had no chance. Tom Brady trying to get down before the Cowboy gets him.
Allen, his second boot. And it's Fuller fielding it at the 35, straight ahead. Bounces off his own player, and the Texans are going to be set up in good starting field position again. Right at midfield. 46-yard punt, 16-yard run back. Got a 14-13 New England lead. Second quarter. Robert and Jonathan Kraft seeing their franchise this year win a division title for a record 8 consecutive year. The Texans now set up on the New England side of the field at the 49. And again, it peeled off 10 unanswered points. Fake into the line, Osweiler. And he had Miller open underneath, missed him. Tomorrow, an early season Big Ten battle. Michigan State against the Buckeyes of Ohio State right here on the road to the Final Four CBS Sports.
I think Osweiler just threw that last one away. Not that he missed Miller. He was open, but I think he thought or felt pressure behind him, got rid of the football to try to get away from the negative play.
2nd and 10. And it's Miller.
I tell you, number 71, Xavier Suafilo is having a night.
Yeah, they are really high on him, especially in the run game, Phil.
Well, they should be, and he's showing it tonight. That's 3 times we've watched him pull around. Watch number big 71 get through there. And the contact he makes, boy, it's a good job by Roberts getting off and falling on the legs of the running back to bring him down.
3rd and 5.
They love to get a lot of people at the line of scrimmage, the Patriots defense. Then they usually drop out.
Osweiler hangs in there, and pass almost intercepted by Logan Ryan. Hopkins, the intended target.
Well, that time they came with the pressure, nowhere to go. Couldn't step into the throw, but it doesn't matter because nobody's open down the field. Let's watch Hopkins, number 10, against Logan Ryan. And Logan Ryan, he's not trying to cover people. He's trying to get the interceptions.
Leckler trying to pin him deep. Edelman slides over, gets it at the 10, did not signal fair catch. Texans looked like they thought he was going to just naturally do that, so he gets it out to the 17.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Subway. Search for better. And by AARP, Real Possibilities.
Surprised by what you're seeing here, Phil?
Well, yes, I am, to a degree. I think what surprises me is the fact that the Patriots offense hasn't got on track yet.
Barely been on the field. Brady 4 out of 5. One incompletion was a pick as he almost saw that one. That came awfully close. Andre Howell jumping in front of Dion Lewis.
Yeah, really aggressive on the coverage. Turnovers, you don't see them from the Patriots. The fewest in the NFL is what they did, and tonight already 2 turnovers.
Yeah, they've turned it over only 11 times the entire regular season, tied for fewest with Atlanta.
Andre Howell very aggressive against Dion Lewis in that man coverage that last play.
2nd and 10. Well protected this time. He lost it to Lewis, who turns around and is not able to hold on. Merciless running down there with him.
Merciless and McKinney, they have him double teamed. They inside and outside, really good job. Tom Brady, there's McKinney on the inside, and Merciless stays with him to knock it away. So once again, trying to get Dion Lewis against linebackers. That was an excellent play. Stars got to make plays in games like this. Clowney on defense. Merciless.
3rd and 10. Blitz. Howe coming in. Brady's got time to unload it. Hogan turned around and he caught it. Also getting turned around was Corey Moore. That was not the best spiral of Brady's career, but it goes for 45 yards.
Well, he knew it was an all-out blitz, that there would be nobody free in the back of the defense. And when you throw it high and far in the air, always much easier for the receiver to find the football than the defensive back.
Well, remember Houston without Quentin Demps.
That was an all-out blitz by the Houston defense.
Who likely would have been the guy back there, but inactive because of the hamstring injury suffered against Oakland. Fake to Blunt. Down the field to Bennett. Everybody looking around. Is there a flag? No. More on the coverage again. The Pro Bowl is heading to Orlando. You can watch your favorite stars compete in the 2017 Pro Bowl presented by Aquafina. They're going back to the AFC versus NFC days. You don't want to miss it. Tune in Sunday, January 29th, 8 Eastern. Plus check out the Pro Bowl Skills Showdown on Thursday, January 26th, all on ESPN.
Well, you know, the Patriots, they see this man-to-man defense, Houston being aggressive. They're going for the big scores 3 times down the field deep.
2nd and 10, Lewis. Brought down by Jonathan Joseph after 4. Powell and Hogan exchange some shoves. But again, the Houston defense, #1 in the league this year, total defense. That category all about total yards given up. Now, when the Patriots have gone into the postseason against #1 defenses, well, they've won 3 and then lost last year to Denver.
Well, there's Romeo Crennel. He's been pretty creative on the defensive side. Once again, Merciless and Clowney on the inside of this offensive line.
3rd and 6. Merciless coming after him and may have taken him out of field goal range back at the 38.
Yep, they got a good game plan. How about that for Romeo Crennel? And once again, you get Clowney and Whitney Merciless on the inside. Here he is. It's just almost impossible to block him one-on-one. What a spin move. Tom Brady can't get away. He did a good job not fumbling.
Well, they're not going to go for the 55-yard field goal by Gostkowski. Allen instead. Little pooch punt. And it goes out of bounds near the 5.
Well, what you got to say about the Houston defense, especially so far, is they're getting their good players, their impact players. They're moving around, putting them in positions to let them make plays. We see the 2 pass rushers. A.J. Boye made an interception.
And Merciless has a sack and a half in this game. You know, that now gives him a total of 6.5 sacks in this being just his 3rd postseason game ever. Had 5 through the first 2. And Brady is not liking the way this game is going right now, even though his team's up a point.
Well, it's frustrating. Hard to get in rhythm what they want. Frustration, of course. They're not used to it. I said earlier, Bill O'Brien, he says, well, we can handle 3 and out as long as we don't turn it over. And I would say that line one more time. The Patriots, they think it's a funeral when they don't go down and score or get first downs. And high expectations, rightly so.
Well, the Texans must be careful at this end of the field at the 4.
Jim, I was just going to say the Houston defense been aggressive and winning the physical battle against the Patriots offense here.
It's Miller. Trying to give him a little room. It's near the 7. Lamar Miller signed in the offseason from Miami. A young man who went to high school in Miami, college at the University of Miami. First 4 years in the league, Miami Dolphins. We visited with him last night. He was ready for try something a little different.
Yep, he was. He said the coaches, all they told him all week, hey, 2 and 3 yard runs are big. Do not hesitate. Lower your head. Get in there. So far, he's done that.
Signed him on the same day in March. They signed Osweiler to the rich contract. 2nd and 6. And again, Miller just outside the 10. Malcolm Brown on the tackle.
Well, good job so far here. This Texans offense, their confidence has to be high compared to what they've done up here before. Brock Osweiler, 13 of 19, a touchdown.
Third and 3. Loads up the right side with receivers. Looks that way. Now down the middle, and Ninkovich very nearly came up with the theft.
Wow, a lot of people in the middle of the field that time. Might have got away with one. You play quarterback looking down the middle. There it is. You watch it. Going to break back out. Ninkovich did a good job of reading the quarterback's eyes and reaching up and knocking it down.
Leckler, the all-time NFL leader in gross average, needs a big one here. Not a lot of hang time, so Edelman on a flag down.
That's a block in the back.
Ninkovich, who has a sack in the game and nearly came up with an interception. So Houston's going to manage to change field position here because of the apparent penalty coming up on the Patriots.
During a return, illegal block in the back. Number 18 to the receiving team, 10-yard penalty, first down.
And again, it's on Slater this time, the Pro Bowler. Exceptional special teamer, but that'll back up New England back near the 30. Thursday, February 2nd on CBS. One detective plays by the rules, another breaks them. From the producers of CSI, a whole new day begins. Training Day, premiering Thursday, February 2nd. Only CBS. They mark it at the 33. And this is what New England's possession chart looks like.
It's been some tough sledding at times, still making some big plays. Let's don't forget this Houston defense. You said it, lowest total yards. That makes them one. Second in the league against the pass, so it's not like it's always easy pickings going against his defense.
Lewis. Good contact at the line by Merciless.
Well, talking about Merciless, that's what he's been. He's had an outstanding night so far. Put him over the center. What a tough matchup that is for Andrews. Makes Tom Brady get out of the pocket and causes a sack. But then we have the two best pass rushers back side by side. How about that spin move for the other sack on Tom Brady? So Romeo Crennel being creative. He's done this, moving his guys around to give them a chance to make plays.
2nd and 9 as we get near the 3-minute mark. Take the handoff to Hogan and a quick hit on Brady, this time by Clowney.
Well, they're going to do some talking on the sidelines about pass protection and who's picking up some of these guys. And that time, Clowney inside, number 90. Boy, just so quick.
Well, you don't get many clean hits on Brady like that during the course of a season.
We've seen probably more here now in all the games we've done together.
And again, you're extolling all the great things this defense has done without J.J. Watt, who did not make the trip here. He's back home rehabbing the back. He hasn't played since the New England game in September. 3rd and 9. Brady pointing to a player down the field and throws it to Edelman. How about that? Signaling and able to get the defense out of position. They beat Jackson on the play for 48 yards.
Well, it's the pass protection. That's what it all starts with. Here's Edelman. He's just going to work all over the field. Goes all the way across. Sees Brady. He's waved down the field. The coverage is there. Edelman extends his arm. Gets away with a little push off that time.
Hey, do that!
But the pass protection, Tom Brady once again man-to-man, throwing it deep.
On 3rd and 9, they go for the big one and get it. Lewis. He is met by Clowney after a couple. They may not run another play before the 2-minute warning. Julian Edelman has now the most receptions in New England postseason history. Coming off a 98-catch regular season. Got 70 for his career in playoff action. And we got the 2-minute warning. With the Patriots in the red zone, leading at 14-13. You're watching the NFL playoffs on CBS. Both teams have all of their timeouts. 2 minutes to go, second quarter. And the Patriots driving from the 16, 2nd and 8. Lewis going outside, now cuts back to the 10. It'll be 3rd and 2. Getting down here on that long play, 48 yards to Edelman.
Well, Tom Brady waved him down the field. Did Edelman push off to get some room there to make that catch? I'm sure the Houston Texans, well, not sure. They were complaining that he pushed off, but it was not seen. But what really stood out that time, Tom Brady'd been under pressure a lot. That time he had so much time to throw, he waved him down there and made the big play.
Under center, 3rd and 2. Back throws to Hogan. He was open. That separation on Boye. Boye sees him now get 1st and goal to go after that 7-yard completion.
Really good job, Chris Hogan. Speed out, lined up in tight. You're expecting him to go across the field. He breaks it out, and well, what a pickup he's been. You know, the Chris Hogan played lacrosse at Penn State. Didn't have any major scholarships offers to play football, but excelling here in professional football.
Amendola in for the first time. He's been out the last 4 games with an ankle injury. In a slot to the right. May have something set up for him. Brady looking around for options. They're all covered up, all kinds of time. And now he's going to take off, and he is hit at the 1 by Clowney.
Clowney stays back, but what they're trying to do, they want to get it to Dion Lewis. They faked it. They were going to take him out, and they're ready for it. And look at Jadeveon Clowney at the goal line. He's just standing there looking around, playing defense, and he attacks Tom Brady, keeps him out of the end zone.
I think Brady's seen enough of Clowney in this first half.
Boy, I mean, his hustle is unbelievable when you watch him play.
Second and goal. Fake to Blunt, over to Devlin, and does he fight for it? They keep him out. That was Dent who came over to support Pleasant, and they kept him short. And they're going to be about a foot away. This is where Brady loves to go quarterback sneak on so many occasions coming up.
Well, that's when it's a quick play. They're going to take their time here and think about it, but
New England first team timeout.
I'm pretty sure they're going to go for the touchdown here. Well, it's third down. Of course they will.
Well, 19 seconds to go with the timeout called by the Patriots. And the Verizon halftime report is coming up. Can't wait to hear what the guys back in New York have to say about this. JB, Tony and Coach, Bart and Boomer. First half highlights and analysis. Verizon halftime report. So he's still got 2 timeouts. So if they do want to run it and even go for it on fourth down or whatever, they've got a couple of timeouts in their hip pocket. They're only inches away. And merciless, he has been some force in this half. Now look at Big Vince Wilfork right over the ball. 11-year Patriot. Now with the Texans. Here's the third and goal. Blunt is stopped, and stopped on a second effort.
Well, that time it was DJ Reader that gets in there and helps make the play, and this will be interesting. It's not just inches now.
No, it's a yard out and 10 seconds to go, and another timeout here. Blunt, who had 18 rushing touchdowns during the regular season, an all-time Patriot single season mark, led the league, and they're going to go field goal.
I think that's the right decision. I would kick the field goal. Really tough.
How big was this for Houston?
Well, it's huge. I mean, of course it is. To stop them hold them to a field goal when they're down that close, and to tackle, keep them 1 inch short of the goal line. And Bill Belichick has seen enough of this defense. They need to go in at halftime, make some adjustments.
Standing next to his special teams coach, Izzo. 19 yards. Gostkowski knocks it through. But Houston buckles down at the 1. Makes a couple of big hits. Clowney kept Brady out, and then Dent helped keep Devlin away. And then they stopped Blunt, who had a second effort attempt, and that was thwarted also. And then the Verizon halftime report, though, it cannot be stopped. It is coming up in just a short while here. 7 seconds to go before halftime with all the guys in the studio. I'm sure they're going to want to talk about what just happened there.
Yeah, well, it was a great series there at the end for this Houston defense. And they talked about tackling LeGarrette Blunt. What did Clowney said? It's like tackling a defensive end. He's so big, but they are around him. And you look at the game summary. Passing yards for the Patriots. When Tom Brady hits passes, they've been for big yards. But Texans really emotionally, Jim, as you watch them, of course, they've made some plays in this game. That always gets you emotionally fired up. But I think after what happened here 16 weeks ago, they've heard it all. Like Bill O'Brien said to us last night, he goes, everybody thinks we're like a terrible football team. He doesn't understand that just the national media and all that, playoffs 2 straight years. And I think, look, the switching of quarterbacks, the struggles of the offense is why that perception is out there.
Got to give a nod to Clowney, because after the Lewis kick return for the touchdown, suddenly it's a lightning bolt 14-3 lead, and Clowney showed, I wouldn't say it was frustration, but leadership on the sideline and tried to rally everyone to get them to snap out of it. And this team has responded.
Big games, stars got to help you win it.
Gostkowski puts it on the ground, and Little fields it. Kepler's there to meet him at the 35. Time runs out on the half.
Yeah, just think of the first half real quick, though. Osweiler has to be happy about the way he played, and your two big stars on defense have made a lot of plays, so that's what they needed, and they got from their football team here in the first half.
All right, Tracy, down to you.
Coach, you said your defense needs to come up big to have success tonight, and you need to limit the turnovers. You've done both. What has impressed you most about what you've seen here?
Guys are playing hard, but we got a lot of football left. They're a great team. Our guys are going to come out and battle. That was a big stop there at the end to hold them to a field goal there. So we're fighting hard, and that's what our team's all about.
You're within 4. No one gave you a chance. So how do you pull off this upset? What do you need to see from your team in the second half?
Yeah, we only care about what we think about in that locker room. We don't really care what anybody else thinks. So we're going to go in there, make some adjustments, try to come out here and play as good as we can.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Jim.
The man from Andover, Massachusetts, has to love the effort by his Texans in that first half, but the Patriots lead it 17-13 at the intermission. New England will receive the third quarter kick after deferring at the start. Back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. The Patriots about to receive the second half kickoff. First, let's take a look at the winning play of the first half presented by H&R Block. Brady's been under pressure as merciless with a sack and a half. They've actually knocked him down, Phil, 4 times in that first half, 2 of them being sacks. And there are the first half numbers with the decisive edge and time of possession to Houston. 2 turnovers, that's a big story. Patriots making mistakes that you don't normally see them make.
Nope, and I think the big thing when you look at it, no turnovers by the Houston Texans. That was a must 100%er, as Bill O'Brien told us.
There's Lewis, who had that first ever Patriot postseason kick return for a touchdown. Only the next kick return coughing it up that led to a Houston touchdown. Takes a knee. All right, your observations on the first half overall.
Okay, well, the game of football, it's about being physical. That's usually who wins the game, and the team that was the most physical in the first half was the Houston Texans. Even though they fell down 14-3, their body language was great, and they just out-hit the New England Patriots, and we'll see, do the Patriots, can they find an answer for that inside rushing of Merciless and Clowney? That'll be a big key here to the second half.
It'll be interesting to see the adjustments on each side, particularly how to contain the likes of Merciless and Clowney when the Patriots have the football. They'll take this first snap, third quarter from the 25. Brady's pass almost intercepted. Boye jumped in front of Floyd.
Oh, he dropped it. He read it the whole time. It was he read the 3-step drop, and A.J. Boye, really such a great technique guy to the outside. Oh, he had inside technique. And Floyd didn't knock it down. He just dropped a pass.
Boye, who last week on 7 targets in his direction did not allow a catch. He was thrown on 89 times this year and gave up only 1 touchdown. That was to Tyrell Williams of San Diego. And Blunt meets up with McKinney after a gain of 2. Let's hear what else was being said at halftime. Tracy.
Well, Jim, I caught up with Bill Belichick and I asked him, how do you establish an offensive rhythm in the second half? He said, we need to do a better job in everything we do. I said, how about the 19 yards rushing? He said, everything. I said, how about it? The uncharacteristic penalties, the turnovers? He just looked at me and said, everything. They need to improve in all that they are doing right now, Jim.
They've got 3rd and 8. They've got their quarterback in trouble on the run, and that pass incomplete. Had a lot of heat behind it trying to connect with Lewis. That was Cushing chasing after Brady along with Clowney. Eddie Pleasant on the coverage and a 3-and-out to start the third quarter.
Well, once again, inside pressure. They're trying to do it. And then Cushing comes inside, gets away from Shaq Mason, the right guard. Said it, the pressure continues. A lot in the first half, starts here in the second.
Ryan Allen boots it. Spiral kick it is to Fuller. The rookie from Notre Dame, who has speed. He's got about a 16-yard return. 55-yard punt. Now Osweiler and the Texans come onto the field. Osweiler 13 of 20 in that first half, only 83 yards. The touchdown pass to Fedorowicz, no turnovers.
Yep, no turnovers, a big thing. And, you know, look, I thought his decision making was good. Only once or twice, well, really once, the pass over the middle, it could have been trouble. But, you know, he looks confident. He looks loose. I think he's seeing it well. The big thing is continue. When the Patriots play man-to-man coverage, we still have yet to see these wide receivers for Houston beat the tight man-to-man coverage.
He did have a start as a Bronco against New England last season and beat the Patriots in a game in Denver in overtime. And look at Miller. Get into the secondary. Lamar Miller peels off a big run. Gain of 17.
Yeah, what a job. Goes inside, then breaks it outside. And once again, Suafilo, the left guard, along with Mance, the center. What a good job. The double team. Lamar Miller. Over 1,000 yards this year. Showing no effects of the 31 carries of last week, huh?
Yep, nearly 1,100 yards on the season, even missing the last two games. That was the longest play for the Texans tonight. 17-yard run. They fake to him here. Flowers coming after Osweiler, and the pass at the knees of Miller incomplete.
Having good play action fake. Haven't heard the name Trey Flowers much tonight. Trey Flowers, best pass rusher for this New England defense.
And then Hightower came in for good measure. 2nd and 10. Best hit of the night they've gotten on the Houston quarterback. Miller. Ninkovich has hold of him. He's able to get it down for a gain of about 7, near the 40.
Well, they gotta love what they're seeing from the offensive line. Just the pushing, winning the physical battle. They talked about, hey, we need 2- and 3-yard runs. That time they just kind of mushed the pile for 7 yards.
They rushed for 72 as a team versus only 21 for New England. Jonathan Grimes has come in for 3rd and 3. Grimes, a bigger, more physical back. Also good in the passing game for Houston. Here's Osweiler, and there's a Patriot right on him. And Noy deflecting the pass, and Leckler comes out to boot.
And Noy gets the pressure inside. Boy, just like anytime the ball gets hit, yeah, it is a pass. You wondered, okay, was it knocked out of his hand? No.
So Leckler from the 41. Hang time. Did exactly what he hoped to do. That's Edelman with the fair catch. Near the 9, 31-yard boot. Pins the Patriots deep. Patriots' second series of the second half at the 10-yard line. Brady drops back near the goal line. Throws it to Edelman. Makes the catch. Made an adjustment. Jackson was turned around, and that's twice Jackson's given up big plays.
Well, what can you do? Tom Brady under pressure just throws it high and soft, takes another big hit.
That was merciless.
And Edelman has outside technique, breaks it out, and Brady throws it just straight up in the air, and it comes straight down. What a anticipated throw by Tom Brady.
How about how many times in this game the Patriots have gone down the field?
They're almost forced them to. They're playing tight man-to-man coverage.
They've had a 48-yard pass play, 45-yard pass play, 30-yard pass interference call that went their way. That one went for 26 as Brady fires it, turning around to make the catch as Edelman again. And in 2 plays, they go from the 10 to the 50.
Well, what they're saying, if you're going to play us this way, they're trying to make them pay for it, Jim, and they have with these long completions down the field and some incredible throws by Tom Brady. That was another one. Nice back shoulder throw. He was covered by Boyer. Ball placement perfect.
Here's Blunt. He's got a running lane, and he takes off down to the 35. There is a penalty marker down near the 50. Clowney feels certain it's going against New England.
Holding. Number 77 offense. 10-yard penalty remains. First down.
Boy, Nate Solder, the left tackle. I was going to say what a block by him. Gives the running lane. There he is.
They called it a hold on Solder against McKinney. And instead of the football being near the Houston 35, spot foul takes it back to the 42, where it'll be a 1st and 18.
Tough call.
Sword out! Sword!
Again, Brady, play action, drop him deep, throwing it deep, and finding Hogan. Left alone by Moore.
It's an excellent job by Chris Hogan. Just the head fake, the body fake, the feet. On the outside, watch him go in, break it out. Beautiful route, Chris Hogan making some big plays tonight.
Yep, he's had a 21-yard catch right there. Earlier, a 22-yard touchdown catch.
1 year college football at Monmouth University in New Jersey.
His 22-yard catch led to a touchdown on the next play to Dion Lewis in the first quarter. First down. Swings it back over to Edelman. Picking him apart on this series. As the Patriots try to land the spot in the conference championship game for what would be the record alone, 6th time. Currently sharing it with the John Madden, Kenny Stabler days of the Raiders back in the mid-70s. It's Lewis switching directions, tumbles, but has a first down.
Well, what they've done, by completing some of those passes deep down the field, Jim, it made the coverage back off. And once you back off and give them room underneath, then Tom Brady's going to throw those short passes and pick you apart.
First down at the 26. They picked up the pace here, and they're connecting again near the 19 this time to Edelman, who goes over 100 yards.
Yep.
The previous catch, he's now got 6 grabs for 108.
By picking up the pace, they keep this Houston defense from doing some of the different things and a variety of defensive schemes that we saw in the first half. And of course, it gets them tired. And the advantage goes to the offensive line. But once again, the coverage was off. Another easy completion for Tom Brady.
5 for 5 on this drive. 2nd and 3 from the 19. James White seeing little action. He's in the backfield. Brady's pass tipped and incomplete. Tipped there by McKinney as both Hogan and Devlin were in the area for New England. We have 3rd and 3 for Brady coming up as we take a look at tonight's nationwide Skycam. You see Amendola coming into the huddle.
Hey, Pop!
Going for the big one to the end zone. It is caught by White for the touchdown.
Well, James White out the backfield. We've seen it so many times over the last couple years. But Ardrick McKinney just not fast enough to run with him. Here he comes out of the backfield, down the sideline. Here's McKinney trying to chase him.
And calling on some help here from Moore, who's not anywhere close to there in time. McKinney gets beat on this one.
Well, that time that was man-to-man coverage, and he was anticipating a quick route in the flat or coming across the middle.
Brady's 57th career postseason touchdown pass. Gostkowski's extra point is good. That's a 90-yard drive. It's the best that New England's looked all night. 9 plays, 90 yards. White finishes it off.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side. And by the all-new Civic hatchback from Honda.
A look at the Boston skyline 30 miles away. There's a new film about the great city of Boston, the tragedy suffered here back in April of 2013 during the bombing of the Boston Marathon. Patriots Day, starring one of the Patriots' biggest fans, Mark Wahlberg, who's at many of the games, not here tonight, but I'm sure he's been
Gotta be happy about what he's seen.
well here in the last couple of minutes, maybe not before that.
No, I mean, it was rough before, but look, they were still winning. But the Patriots, running backs, always a big part of their pass game. Twice they got them isolated. 2 touchdown passes by Brady.
And a touchback earned by Gostkowski. Rob Gronkowski is the Patriots nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award presented by Nationwide. His impact off the field is making a noticeable difference in the community with regular school visits, continual eagerness to spread some cheer. Rob, a very deserving candidate for the prestigious honor, where 3 finalists will be announced during next Sunday's NFC title game, and the winner to be named at the NFL Honors Award Show February 4th, 8 Eastern on Fox. 1st and 10, and the Texans down 11. There's a completion to Hopkins out of the 40, gain of 15. 3rd catch of the game for Hopkins.
Good play action fake by Brock Osweiler.
They're going to pick up the pace here a little bit, Phil. No huddle. Miller off the right side, and he's sandwiched there after a 2-yard pickup. Miller 15 carries for 67 yards.
Really a big drive for this Houston Texans team, I think, to give their defense some rest on the sideline, let them regroup, but to stay in this game. And the one good thing they've already done, at least they changed field position. They have to punt. They should be able to punt it inside the 20.
2nd and 8. Goes underneath. And that's a catch for about 4 to Miller. We were talking about how the Patriots are going for a 6th straight appearance in the AFC Championship game. The Texans have never gotten past the divisional round in 2 previous attempts. Road losses at New England on 1-13-13 when they lost by 13. That's what they put up on the board here tonight. And a loss in a divisional round game at Baltimore. 7.5 to go in quarter number 3, and a 3rd and 4. Osweiler gets intercepted. McCourty saw it coming and jumped right in front of Hopkins.
He did. He saw it, reads the quarterback. We told you already he was the next corner and really can break on the ball and sees the offense like a quarterback.
First turnover of the night committed by the Texans. First Texans giveaway in 7 quarters of the postseason. Osweiler intercepted, something that plagued him during the regular season when he was intercepted 16 times. He had been clean since coming back, getting the job back when Savage went out with a concussion against Tennessee.
Well, the throw wasn't quite on target, not hard enough.
Meanwhile, Brady picked him apart last time, and that one off the hands of Bennett.
Well, let's look at the interception we saw, Jim. Here's DeAndre Hopkins going to go here. Here's McCourty. Watch him as he just watches the quarterback. And he sees it, and look how fast he breaks as Osweiler winds up to throw it and just gets to the ball so quick. You know, one thing about Brock Osweiler, and they've talked about it, they got to speed up his delivery a little bit. Man, just not enough speed on the football really allowed Devin McCourty to get over there and make the interception.
As he talks things over with George Godsey, one of 5 former Patriot coaches on that Houston sideline. 2nd and 10, and Brady well protected this time. Now Merciless comes after him, forcing the throwaway.
Well, he wants to throw it deep. Once again, watch, everybody's just going to go down the field deep, and there's nobody open. And Tom Brady, man, he was under so much pressure in the first half. A 3-man rush, nowhere to throw it, so he has to throw it away.
Merciless before he started chasing after Brady. Absolutely flattened Dion Lewis.
Well, they're trying a little bit of everything. They've shown some different blitzes. A 3-man rush, that didn't work.
White comes into the backfield, 3rd and 10. Open. It's Edelman.
Boy, just
getting away from Kareem Jackson.
Now, you know, what a difference in the outside throw. And I know, look, I'm not Brock Osweiler, it's not Tom Brady. Edelman in the slot sells it, and then it's just a shot to the outside. You know, running backs, receivers, you see their legs get fresh in a week off. And, you know, same thing happens to a quarterback, Jim. You get a week off and you can get a little more zip on the football. I mean, Tom Brady, when given time, he's got a lot of zip on the ball tonight.
Yes, and they've come out throwing in this second half. That's 6 completions of 20 plus. 3 of them have been thrown in the direction of Kareem Jackson. That last big one on a 3rd and 10 for 26 yards. Clowney giving chase. And Brady's seen enough of him. And he throws it away. Brady still went to the ground, and he falls a second time. He's not happy about when that hit occurred.
Let's see what happens. It's the 1-step rule. He was within 1 step of Tom Brady.
Brady not happy that the knockdown just continued on. But no flag, 2nd and 10. Again, pressure. This time it was by DJ Reader. There is a flag deep in the secondary inside of the 5. Is it on Jackson? Oh, yeah, it might be on Floyd.
Pass interference. Number 14 offense.
Yes,
10-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
Top of the screen, number 14. Well, it's definitely pushing his arms, extending them. Michael Floyd. Easy call. I know one thing coming out, Jim, you said it, all these passes and everything, this Houston defense, everybody's got their hands on their hips.
Houston takes the penalty instead of 3rd and 10 because the Patriots would have been in field goal range should nothing have happened on a 3rd down. Drop them back to the 40 instead on 2nd and 20. And Brady again. All kinds now, just standing there, and Edelman this time looking around to no avail.
Well, I'll tell you, the officials are taking a verbal beating tonight on the field. I mean, everybody's complaining about every play, it looks like.
How many games have you seen Brady, though, take a beating like this? Physically.
He's taking a lot of hits tonight.
You know what it reminds me of? This is the last time he played in a playoff game at the AFC Championship game against Denver.
Yeah, good example. But the big thing is he's making tremendous throws under pressure tonight has been the difference, I think, in this football game.
He's thrown for 145 yards on 3rd down, which he has here, 3rd and 20. And that little pass, this might be is going to be rule of completion. The difference between maybe a field goal attempt and a punt. because it would be about a 51-yard attempt. Amendola, that ball came out.
Yep, it's going to be incomplete.
And now they rule it on the field incomplete. So the drive bogs down with that offensive pass interference call against Floyd. One of the reasons it backs him up. It ends the drive at the 40. Fuller standing back at the 10. He did run a punt back early in the season for a touchdown. Allen tries to angle this one. And look who's down there. Matthew Slater, who's heading to another Pro Bowl this year and the winner of the Bart Starr Award this month.
Yep, one of the best special teams players in history.
For his contributions on and off the field, award that his father, a Hall of Famer, also had won in the past.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Bud Light. Make the right call. Drink responsibly. And by Mobile Strike. Download and play now. Free from the App Store.
The Bunker Hill Memorial Bridge serving as the northern entrance to and from Boston. Meanwhile, down the road, Foxborough Texans backed up here at the 2. Going to have Osweiler throw from the end zone and dropped by Fedorowicz, who would have had, in all likelihood, a first down. The Patriots were blitzing there with Logan Ryan.
Yep, Logan Ryan was coming on the blitz. They had it picked up. Fedorowicz uncovered in the middle of the field and drops it. You know, you're in a position like this, so just your margin of error is really slim. So you need plays like that. Can't let them get away from you.
Got a few snow flurries for the first time in this game. 2nd and 10. Osweiler had gone a long stretch over several games without committing a turnover. Must be careful here. Going across the middle. What a catch. Hopkins pulls it down near the 20.
What a catch is right.
Also a good throw. That one did have some zip on it.
Yep, that time he really caught it on the inside. I like what they do with DeAndre Hopkins, number 10, going across. They switch him outside. He plays the slot. That time he was the third receiver inside to give him more room to make plays because he is their number 1 weapon.
Two Patriots right there to greet him at the line of scrimmage, including a Landon Roberts along with Alan Branch. Tomorrow, an invitation for a unique tour inside the West Wing for President Obama's last appearance on 60 Minutes. You won't want to miss what he has to say. That's tomorrow, only CBS. Okay, since the Houston touchdown to Fedorowicz, this is what they've done. 3 punts and a pick. Got a 2nd and 10 from their own 21. Look at the 22. Time for Osweiler, who goes again underneath with Hightower riding the back of Miller, holds him to 5.
You know, such an underrated part of this Patriots football team. And, you know, I notice it. We talk about it. Matt Patricia, defensive coordinator, is just their coverage guys. You know, they can play aggressive and have linebackers roam and be free because these corners and the safeties all very good in man-to-man coverage.
Osweiler only 126 yards passing on 28 attempts. That's less than 5 yards per attempt. And he's calling timeout as the play clock was down to a 2nd.
Timeout.
So the Patriots, particularly offensively on that 190-yard drive in the 3rd quarter, looking a whole lot different than they did in the first half. But what about the Texans and their offense in the 2nd half?
Well, the Texans, you know, it's kind of, we say it, it's just, can they find a way to beat man-to-man coverage and get somebody open down the field? Now, we've watched the New England Patriots do it about 6 times here tonight, right? With big throws down the field by Tom Brady. We're not seeing those from the Texans because we do not see the separation by the wide receivers.
They have not had a pass play that has gone for 20 yards in this game. But they just need 5 on this snap for a first. Here it comes. Sheard shakes off him, and Osweiler runs for a first down and a whole lot more. Brock Osweiler with an 18-yard scramble. And the Texans, remember, this drive started all the way back near the 1.
You see Sheard forces him up, and this is an excellent job. You know, just feel it, see it, play it. That's what he talked about. Just be a little more natural on the field, and he has moved around more ever since he got back into the lineup. Good job scrambling there on man-to-man coverage.
It's the longest rush in the game by either team. Miller pauses, and flags come in. Did a little Le'Veon Bell type hesitation there at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, it was a little bit, yes.
Illegal use of hands, hands to the face, number 99 defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
And of course, Le'Veon Bell and the Steelers will be at Kansas City tomorrow night in the last of the 4 divisional round games.
There's 99 right in the middle of your screen. Got the hands up there. Vince Valentine.
Yeah, pushing back the head and helmet of Suafilo.
A double move. You know, these receivers are being pressed. Can somebody, they tried a couple double moves tonight, could not get open.
Come on.
Now a snap in New England territory. Miller had a hand on him early. Hightower able to fall forward for a couple. And, well, tomorrow, Green Bay at Dallas on Fox. And then the Steelers and the Chiefs on NBC. Tomorrow is the 50-year anniversary of Super Bowl I. Here's a look at the AFC brackets. And again, the winner here takes on the winner of Pittsburgh, Kansas City. There, you see Atlanta already advancing with its win over Seattle. But tomorrow, the 50-year anniversary of the first Super Bowl. And how about both the participants from Super Bowl I are playing on that 50-year anniversary to the day. Green Bay and Kansas City. 2nd and 8. Look out, Osweiler gets walloped from behind by McClellan. Never had a chance.
So many different guys.
Hey, the ball is out, and running with it is Chung. Patriots think that it was a fumble. Flag is down, and there's utter chaos on the field.
Well, the ball went forward, I thought. That Brock Osweiler got hit as he was throwing, but released the ball.
And now there seems to be.
During the run back, we have illegal substitution on New England. Players from the bench came on the field. 5-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down. Tommy, I ruled it.
Now, turn that mic off. First down. Who? Yeah, as you see, here is the hand going forward.
Yeah, it's an incomplete pass. He did not lose control of the football before the arm was going forward. Watch it. You can still see he has the grip. Stays on it. Shea McClellan playing in his first playoff game. Got to be pretty exciting. Pressuring the quarterback.
I think the ruling on the field, I think the officials may have ruled it on the field a fumble, because now they're signaling. I see the Patriots offense has come on to the field. So it's a booth review because the ruling on the field was that it was a fumble. Was it called a fumble?
It was called a turnover, so they'll have to review it.
Said there was chaos. in the end, I think it'll be Houston football. Again, the call on the field was a fumble recovered by New England. But
after reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is changed to an incomplete pass. Please set the game clock to 2:16, third down on the 45-yard line. And the penalty, there is no foul for illegal substitution.
So the penalty is waived off. Thing about that came out of his hand. It wasn't a tight spiral, but it was still spinning.
Yeah, no question.
Surprised that anyone would have thought that was a fumble, but anyway, they get it right. Third and 8. Osweiler dancing around, and for the first time goes deep to the end zone. It is dropped. Would have been a touchdown for Fuller. He's had problems holding on to the football all season, and that would have been 6.
Nice formation. They come out, they get them in a bunch formation, and Fuller gets a free release down the field, and it is a perfect throw. Drops it straight down by Brock Osweiler. Wow, what a game changer.
No kidding. I mean, he just dropped it right in there, right between his hands. Absolutely got to make that catch. Punt fielded, fair catch again at the 10. The last time Edelman made a fair catch at the 10, the Patriots went 90 yards in 9 plays earlier in this quarter. Well, you can see your favorite NFL players show off all of their impressive talents in strength, speed, and more in the new Pro Bowl Skills Showdown, Thursday, January 26th, 7 Eastern Time. And don't miss the Pro Bowl presented by Aquafina, Sunday, January 29th, 8 Eastern on ESPN.
Well, you've been trying all night, trying to get a big play. You finally get the chance. Fuller to the top. They're shading DeAndre Hopkins, so nobody's deep in the middle of the field. And Osweiler makes the perfect throw.
There's Lewis. Breaks out of an ankle tackle and gets ahead to the 14 for 4.
You said it live, Jim. Finally, they get a chance to go deep down the field, and the pass was perfect. And
Fuller, their first-round pick, taken 20th overall out of Notre Dame. He got off to this fast start with 100-yard performances the first 2 weeks of the season, and then was hampered by a knee and was really not the same player the rest of the year. 2nd and 6. Quickly to Floyd, and Michael Floyd breaks through a tackle for the first down. He got away from Boye. Tracy?
Jim, an injury on the Patriots sideline. Wide receiver Chris Hogan is dealing with a thigh injury. He was in and then out of the locker room. He has a heating pad on it. He's been rubbing a golf ball to try and massage it. He is out for now on the sideline, Jim.
Well, Hogan's had, Tracy, he's had a good game here with 4 catches for 95 yards. First down off the Floyd effort. Brady steps up, lofts it, caught. That's Bennett. And again, McKinney in coverage. They're taking advantage of that matchup.
That's a good matchup for the Patriots. So many matchup problems for these linebackers. They try to play man-to-man coverage.
They called it incomplete. Incomplete.
Yep, never got hold up before he went out of bounds. But once again,
see it clearly from here.
Yes, comes out.
Boy, that looked a whole lot better. Here's Brady, fires it, and it's intercepted on the deflection. It's Howell with the football, and Tom Brady, after throwing only 2 interceptions in 432 regular season attempts, has been picked off twice tonight.
Bernard McKinney, the linebacker, just stands there. I don't think Tom Brady ever sees him. Number 55, right in the middle of your screen. And he breaks on the football, which leads to the interception.
Both interceptions coming off deflections. Brady had all season long only been picked off by Deshaun Shedd of Seattle and Eric Weddle of Baltimore. But this feisty Texans defense comes up with a couple tonight.
Well, what they did is they took McKinney out of coverage. 30th career postseason interception, ties Brett Favre. Well, he's been in so many games. But they took McKinney out of the pass defense and let him stand in the middle and just read the quarterback, and it led to an interception.
Okay, final minute of the third quarter. Toss. Blue. And Alfred Blue has a 3-yard carry, his first handle tonight.
Good switch up by the Texans that led to that interception, though.
This time they split out Blue wide to the left. They empty out the backfield. Over to the near side to Hopkins, and Butler's there trying to strip the football. They say he was down. Ball did come out, but they rule him down on what was the final play of the third quarter. 24-13 New England. Back after this message and a word from your local station. In that last frame, 7 points put on the board by the Patriots. James White at the end of a 90-yard touchdown drive, calling it in from 19 out. But we start the fourth. Jim Nance and Phil Simms, Tracy Wolfson and Jay Feely here at Gillette Stadium. The winner of this game to go on to the AFC title game next Sunday night. 3rd and 4. And Osweiler looking down the field, and it's over the head of Brian Griffin. And they're going to go field goal. Novak. Let's get a report before the kick from Jay Feely.
Well, Jim, Nick Novak kind of tweaked his back on the opening kickoff. He's been receiving treatment throughout the second half, trying to keep it loose. Could impact his distance. He made a 50-yarder in last week's game. That's his long in the playoffs. This one will be a 46, wind moving a little to his left.
Well, on the season, he never missed in the fourth quarter. 13 of 13. This is a 46-yard attempt to make it a one-score game. The kick is good. Nick Novak brings the margin to 8. Texans put up a field goal off the interception.
Well, Novak flushes it. Pretty excited about it. His reaction after he makes it. He knows how big this kick is. Playoff game, gets them into a one-score game.
How many times did Bill O'Brien tell us last night? We just want to get in the fourth quarter, have a chance.
That's it.
And that they do.
Well, look, they've gotten 3 turnovers tonight. That's, they did have one, but Tom Brady has thrown 2 interceptions tonight, which is what he threw the whole year. A little off target on the first one, and then he never sees McKinney. Always see in front of the receiver. That time he didn't.
Yep, this is what we mentioned. The whole regular season, just the 2. This was something we did discuss with Tom on Friday.
Yep.
When we met with him in our production meeting, and hey, he had a lot of things to say about how fortunate he felt because so many, in fact, almost a harbinger of what was to come here tonight. He said, I got fortunate in that there weren't a lot of deflections. A lot of times you can throw a good pass, gets deflected.
Goes off the receiver, they drop it, they kick it in the air.
He didn't want to take a whole lot of credit for it. He was quite magnanimous about how his teammates helped him.
But that's what Bill O'Brien said. We just got to tip some passes. That was a big key, and their defensive line has been pretty good at it this year. Well, they've been great at it if J.J. Watt was in that defensive line.
Can you imagine this defense if they get J.J. fully recovered from the back? With what's transpired with a healthy Clowney this season, Merciless emerging, they're able to re-sign, say, Boye. I mean, this defense will be some force next year.
Well, they're missing John Simon, too.
Yeah, he made plays early in the year. Toss to Blunt. He's barely been a factor here tonight. You would have thought he was one of only 3 rushers to have a 100-yard performance against Houston during the season, and so far tonight 5 carries, 8 yards for Blunt.
Well, they got big Vince Wilfork inside, and even though if you probably look at the stat sheet, Jadeveon Clowney, his numbers are probably not great, but just that time he forced the runner back inside, and then everybody else makes the tackle.
I will say this about Blunt. He missed some time in practice this week because he was under the weather. He was ill. Here's Brady. Stepping into the throw, and Lewis. That quickness, he can just fly in short burst, and there's a
Personal
flag down.
foul. Roughing the passer, number 90, a late hit, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Well, Brady didn't get it the last time Clowney caught up with him, but this time he does.
Yeah, that was Clowney who comes in and makes a hit way after the ball is let go.
His head ricocheted off the ground a little more violently than the Patriot faithful would like to see.
Well, he's taken, we've talked about it, he's taken some big hits, made some big throws, and how about that throw in Lewis and how quick he can catch it, when he catches it, how fast he accelerates and just picks up extra yards. Always a factor when you play the Patriots, yards after catch, they're great at it.
From the 48 of Houston with the blitz, unloads it. No one turned around. Edelman, he had Jackson on him. Jackson turned around, he could have made a play on the football. But again, Brady had to absorb some contact. Christian Covington came crashing in on him.
Well, Covington hits him. Merciless is coming free. And, of course, nobody, the receiver was not ready for it. The defensive back is not going to react if the receiver is not. So, Tom Brady, we've seen that quite a few times tonight. Just knows he's under pressure, throws it deep down the field against somebody man-to-man.
Have all that weight landing on your left shoulder. Then you see oftentimes quarterbacks have a hard time being able to come off that healthy. Here he goes underneath to Edelman for just 3. But for Edelman, 8 catches on the game for 137.
Well, never gets tired, Julian Edelman. When you watch him, you come watch him practice. It was, got to always remember this is a Saturday game. So Thursday, he was running all over the field. In fact, we saw him dive for a couple passes in practice. So Houston here, big down. Keep him out of field goal range.
3rd and 7. Edelman unable to hold on to it. And the Texans defense able to take him off the field.
Tom Brady trying to get the football to him before he runs into trouble, so he throws it real hard because he knows Kareem Jackson is coming the other way. Tom Brady knows he missed it.
Ryan Allen had 6 of 7 punts that pinned the Texans inside the 20 in the first matchup. Trying to do the same thing here. He had that one that was fielded by Slater at the 2 earlier. That is Fuller holding on to it outside the 10. So 1 possession game. There's the Texans founder and chairman and CEO, Robert McNair. He and his wife Janice will be the host of Super Bowl 51 in a few weeks down in Houston. Look at the time Osweiler has here. Dangerous across the middle, and it is intercepted by Ryan. Ryan with a diving grab of the pass off the deflection, and he takes it all the way to the 5.
Well, this one got away from Brock Osweiler. He had what he wanted. He had Hopkins going across the middle, zone coverage, nobody following him. Nobody there. The throw is too high, and he knocks it up in the air. What a catch by Logan Ryan.
Look how many Patriots are in the middle of that field.
Well, when you're playing this type of defense, when you play like that, you're watching the quarterback, so when he lets it go, you're going to converge. And Logan Ryan, he gets thrown at the second most of any corner in football. Why? Because he plays the top receivers, he plays the slot, he plays both sides outside.
He's got a sack tonight. He's got an interception. First and goal. Toss to Lewis. Looking for a third touchdown on the night. Breaks a tackle and then gets smacked near the one. Reeder denying him the end zone.
Yep. Amendola, good block out there. Nate Solder, the left tackle. He gets out there and little pylon cam.
Well, the Texans at this end of the field right before the half made some plays, but Lewis dives for it. I think he broke the plane, looking for a signal. There it is, touchdown. A touchdown catch, a kick return for a touchdown, and now a rush for a score.
Well, good job inside. Shaq Mason, Andrews. Whitney Merciless almost gets there and stops him.
They go on and win this game. You're going to be reading a lot of stories about Dion Lewis and how few people in the history of the game have ever had, if you will, some sort of cycle for touchdowns in a game. Three different ways. Didn't take long to finish it off after the Ryan interception. Gostkowski knocks it through. And just like that, it's a 15-point game. Ryan set it up. Lewis, once again, smells pay dirt.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Verizon. Join a better network because better matters.
31-16 New England. Behind 3 touchdowns by Dion Lewis. Big game as well by Logan Ryan. Lewis, the first in postseason history with a rush, a reception, and a return for touchdowns in one game. He came out of Pitt, where he actually broke Tony Dorsett's freshman rushing record for the Panthers with over 1,600 yards, and then he found himself there on the roster and in the backfield with a guy named LaShawn McCoy.
Well, when he got his chance, he did okay. And I'll tell you, everybody forgets. I kept looking for Dion Lewis this year. He was on a tear last year with this football team until he got hurt. And it really changed who they are. Just think if he'd have been in that backfield and running routes and running with the football during the playoffs or even during the regular season, missed a lot of time because of that knee injury.
Miller stuffed, only a gain of 1.
Well, they got to go a little hurry up, which they're going to try.
Not that much of a hurry. Not as much as it should.
What?
Osweiler trying to get away, but can't. That's the former first rounder, Malcolm Brown, who wrapped hold of the leg and didn't let go.
Yep, Malcolm Brown over the right tackle. Chris Harris just goes inside, goes right by him. Known for his run-stopping ability.
That's the Patriots' 3rd sack of the game, and it sets back the Texans 9 yards. Look how much the Patriots have dropped back, protect the first down line all the way up at the 35. Osweiler goes underneath Hopkins, and he stopped about 6 yards shy of the first.
Yeah, there's no, you said it. See that around the league a lot. Everybody just drops back to the first down marker, make you throw it short, make the tackle.
More so than you used to.
Yes.
You know, amazing that no one figured that out long ago. There's Leckler, who came out of the same draft as a guy named Tom Brady back in 2000 and was actually drafted round ahead of him. He was in the 5th, Brady in the 6th. Scooping it up, Edelman. Tiptoes out at the 35. Well, Novak brought it down to a one-possession game, but then the pick and the Lewis touchdown brought it back to 15. Brady under center, starting the series from the 33 with Blunt. Taking it out for 4. How about a little next-gen action for us here, Phil?
Next-gen stats in the first half. Divisional Clowney lined up inside 31% of the time, outside. But here in the second half, we haven't seen that near as much. Why? Because of the hurry-up offense is one reason by the Patriots.
Here's an end around with Edelman. Oh, what a move. Plus a block out there to help him. Moore wraps him up near the 50. 13 yards on the reverse.
Martellus Bennett, number 88, leading the way. Watch him out in front. Gets a good block. Gets 2 blocks, really.
And that's the longest running play for the Patriots tonight.
It's been tough. You know, they're having a hard time blocking that defensive front when it comes to the run. Big guys there. Romeo Cornell said, look, we can't fool Tom Brady. Maybe we can fool the offensive linemen, which they have done.
Play action, Brady stepping up, looking long. They've had success tonight every time, it seems, and they have it again. Oh, no, ball's out. Ball is out, incomplete. Moore on the coverage of Edelman.
Boy, we've seen quite a few of these throws tonight. Tom Brady throwing them high, dropping them right in the bucket. I mean, a couple times, Jim, they've had the perfect coverage on. In other words, the exact defense you want in to be playing when the pass is thrown, and they still complete it with throws like that.
Here's a end around, double reverse the other way. The Amendola into the secondary. And Tom Brady threw a block. That now is a 15-yard run.
Well, they're going to take advantage of a situation like this where they know the defense is going to be playing all out, gambling. And Tom Brady, a little double reverse, gets out front, goes down, and gets a block on Kareem Jackson. Does that make sense? So they know the defense is going to be over-aggressive, so they're going to take advantage of that. They run 2 reverses.
How often do you see teams run reverses 3 plays apart? Lewis. Ooh, and he was close to breaking one before Jackson ends it after 9.
What's the phrase we always hear when we do a Patriots game? What is it? Expect
the unexpected.
The unexpected, that's right.
Second and 1. And Lewis, that's back spins, first down. Let's go to the sideline. Tracy's there.
Jim, the Texans have been playing much of this drive without Bernardrick McKinney. He seems to be hurt on the sideline. No official word from the Texans right now. They're also without their starting defensive end, G.J. Reader, who is dealing with cramps, and Alfred Blue in the locker room being evaluated for concussion.
And now add Heath to those who have injury concerns, but even more concerning is Bennett is holding his left knee. Watch Bennett, 88.
Number 88. Oh.
Uh-oh.
He just
gave way when he was trying to pivot.
It's like he misstepped. I thought he got shaken up on the reverse, the first one.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by IBM and by Jeep Grand Cherokee. For every impossible.
Boy, the Bennett injury is not pretty to look at, but then he got to his feet and he actually jogged to the sideline to a huge ovation. First down, Patriots. Brady looking through the end zone, and Lewis and double coverage.
Pretty interesting, though. We'll look at Martellus Bennett.
Let's watch him 88 here.
Watch his left leg.
Ooh.
Just hyperextends it.
That is something that you'll have to watch. He's still got the helmet on, but he is backed up by Matt Lingle. He's the only other tight end on the roster. Has 2 catches on the season. Again, Gronkowski IR'd long ago. Here's a 2nd and 10. McBrady rolls out. Get hit again as he throws it away. In fact, he shoved all the way 3 or 4 yards into the Texan sideline. It was Merciless who gave him a shove. There's Bill O'Brien, his former quarterback coach, and then 1 year in 2011 as offensive coordinator. He stepped out of the way, and Bennett, believe it or not, is back after 1 missed snap.
Yeah, it's hard to believe.
3rd and 10. Lewis comes in outside, and then the ball's on the ground. Like the Patriots were there to recover it. Huge recovery in this sense. A field goal here makes it a 3-score game.
3-score game. That's 2 times Dion Lewis has fumbled the football.
That was Tooney who recovered it, the left guard. That's Boye who stripped it. And there's Tooney, the rookie from North Carolina State. So 42-yard Gostkowski field goal attempt coming up. He's made 16 straight in the postseason, as you see here. And we're going to back it up an extra yard. We'll make it 43 yards. But a timeout called by Belichick from the sideline first.
Hey, I'm a pretty good lip reader.
Yeah, I am too.
Yes.
Don't tell me what he said, though. I thought he was saying something also about the spot. Which I'm not sure what that would be about, but anyway, they're back in position here. It's a 43-yard attempt. Gostkowski had to wait it out for a little while, but he drills it. Puts New England up 34-16.
Yep, puts them up 3 scores.
Belichick was saying, right, no timeout there. You guys didn't take that timeout. We're hearing from Jay Feely that the issue was that he didn't feel like they had reset the play clock after the running play by Lewis. So he got the officials' attention. And it looked like he got some confirmation, too. They weren't going to be charged with that timeout.
Well, that big field goal takes all hope really away from the Houston Texans here.
Yep.
And you got to, game of course is not over, but you got to say that at least the fight was, and their competitive level was better tonight than it was back here in week 3, that's for sure. And it just couldn't take advantage of the opportunities.
There's Heath going in. He was injured on the same play that Bennett hyperextended a knee but missed only a snap.
George Godsey talking to Brock Osweiler, what they're going to do here. Try to, of course, got to go and hurry up. And Brock Osweiler, kind of a mixed bag here tonight, no question. Off to a good start, but missed a couple throws here that led to interceptions.
Gostkowski boots this one deep. Not returnable. There's Tom Savage, who had been given the job in December. Right. Didn't last very long before he took a hit.
Well, he suffered that concussion against the Tennessee Titans. I think if this game, you know, not to get on Brock Osweiler, if this happened in the first half, I think we would have seen Tom Savage here tonight.
Osweiler again going underneath that defense, and Grimes takes it for 11. He really went deep only one time in this game, and it should have been a touchdown.
Should have been, could have turned the game around.
Yep.
And the Patriots, listen, that's all the Houston Texans talked about, how it's so hard to get a big play down the field against this defense. They had the one opportunity and didn't take advantage of it.
Sails on it. And it's out of reach for Mumphrey. Chris Long playing in his first postseason game ever. Chris Long.
Yeah, how about that? Chris Long,
hit him.
number 95, hits him. Gets him from behind. Here comes Chris Long, gets the hit. Chris Long really been a good role model, plays so hard, playing some different positions, and been in the league and had so much success. And all the other guys looking at him going, man, that was a second pick of the draft, and he's still, how hard he works.
Standing up from his defensive end spot on this play. Grimes takes the handoff. He's got 4.
And if you watch this Patriots team, they play so many different guys on offense and defense. Guys like Chris Long, getting near the end of their career, they come up here and wow, they want to have success. As Bill Belichick says, hey, if you want a chance to play, come up here, because they'll give anybody, if you show it on the practice field and work hard enough, they're going to give you a chance to play in the games. There's no doubt about that.
His dad, Howie, won a Super Bowl in his 3rd year in the league with the Raiders. 3rd and 5. It's Osweiler. It's time to find a man. It's Fedorowicz to the New England 42. Pick up a 17.
It's a good job by Fedorowicz. Really made a nice move to get away from Patrick Chung.
Inside 5 minutes now, and 18 points down. To Grimes. Able to make a move around Hightower, get near a first. Texans 9-7 for the 3rd straight year, winning the division. It certainly got bottled up late in the year with Indianapolis and particularly Tennessee. Osweiler able to get out of a jam, looking around with the flag down, and Van Noy stands his ground.
Don't know what this is. Could be holding.
Holding. Number 74 offense. 10-yard penalty.
Yep.
Still first down.
They've gotten him twice tonight on that.
Yep. Chris Clark against Rob Ninkovich. Boy, Rob Ninkovich seems like he's been doing this for about 15 years. He's a great example. If you work hard and do the right things, you can get on the field. He was just a special teams player, practiced well, and Bill Belichick said he earned a few snaps in games years ago. They gave him a few snaps to reward him for all of his hard work on special teams and doing what he did in practice. And now for how many years he's been the starting outside linebacker defensive end for the Patriots.
1st and 20. Dumping it off to Grimes. That blockers ahead. He's able to get about 15 of it back. Wayne Brown with a good block.
Yeah, really good job. Defense doing a lot of games up front. Suafilo once again outside getting a good block.
Second and 5. Texans need to operate with a little more urgency.
Zone.
In the middle and intercepted. It's Harmon this time. Interception number 3 of the second half.
Well, tried to take a chance. You're down 3 scores. You got to try to force the football in there. Fedorowicz is going to go down the middle. Overthrow leads to an interception. A little double move, not fooled once again, though. Patrick Chung was all over the route. And you know, you talk about, well, you want them to go faster. Hard to go fast against the Patriots defense because they line up and do so many things on the defensive side. Well, that was Ryan Griffin on the, thought it was Fedorowicz. It was not.
Well, Texan fans are saying we've seen this movie this season. This is what has caused a lot of unrest down in Houston.
Yes, it has, and it will continue to. We saw it's like a recurring theme in the playoffs for them. It was last year against Kansas City, and you know, a tough ending here tonight for Brock Osweiler. And the way they wanted to play, keep it simple, not take chances. They got the turnovers, but a couple missed throws turned the game around.
Boy, they went to the locker room at halftime with momentum, even though they were trailing. The second half, a replay of some of the down times on the year as Blunt breaks one. Finally tripped up by Moore. They'll be able to run this down to the 2-minute warning unless Houston wants to stop it. 18-yard run here by Blunt.
Well, just a terrific block by the left guard that time. Tooney, the rookie. Blunt cuts it back and gets a little frustration out of himself there. Getting a good run finally.
2 minutes left. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Coming up, the Subway postgame show. JB and the team. Tony, Bart, Boomer, Coach Cowher. Highlights and analysis from this game and the earlier game today. And there's Vince Wilfork and what very possibly could be his last game. He's been hinting at retirement. We met with him last night. Sure kind of sounds like it to me. This was before the game. 11 years here. He would always come out and kiss Robert Kraft, Patriots owner, before the game once, and then after Myra Kraft passed away, he would kiss him twice.
Kiss him twice, yeah. So,
but he's
a lot of good years he had up here, of course.
2 Super Bowl titles, and
really just a great effort by the Patriots here in the second half. Houston couldn't sustain that effort we saw from them from the first half. It's going to be a tough offseason for Brock Osweiler too. You know, he was so positive last night, off to a good start, and you know, in this league, you can't miss some throws, and a couple missed throws. Had a big drop too by Fuller.
And then his coach coming back to his home area, raised on the outskirts of Boston. 5 years he served as an assistant here. There have been all these stories that had started to surface at the end of the year that he may not be back next year, even though Robert McNair has refuted that. He says there's no chance I'm firing him. He'll be back next year. And he's again, he's been winning season every year, but their season ends tonight in the divisional round. And the Patriots are on their way to a 6th straight AFC Championship game. The Subway post-game show, again, straight ahead. And Bill Belichick, what his team has done this year, 14-2, and now setting the record, advancing to a conference championship game more times consecutively than anyone ever. To think what they were able to do this year, didn't have Brady the first 4 weeks. Team that's way under the salary cap, and they just continue to march on like they have for years. They will be hosting next Sunday night the AFC Championship game. They'll be hosting either Pittsburgh or Kansas City. It's a 6 o'clock Eastern time start next Sunday night. What a night for Dion Lewis. Caught the game's first touchdown. A few minutes later, after a Texans field goal, He returned to kick 98 yards for the Patriots' first ever kickoff return touchdown in the postseason. And then later ran one into the second half. Wilfork with Matt Patricia sharing a moment. Subway post-game show is coming up. Patriots advance